The widening gap of opportunity for legacy automotive companies to keep up with Tesla has all but vanished now. Not many people understand this yet, but they will soon enough as we watch these car companies collapse one by one, file for bankruptcy, and an EV New World Order take its rightful place. If nothing else, it's an interesting point in history to live through, eh? A few years ago, there was a shred of hope that not only Ford and General Motors, but Volkswagen, Toyota, Stellantis and others might be taking EVs seriously enough and frantically doing all they could to keep up with the seemingly obvious, better technology that electric cars offered over internal combustion engines. Whilst these companies dilly-dallied about, there were moans of admittance, and some said they were investing hard and going all in on electrification. But it's becoming clearer by the day that these historically huge successful companies are falling apart and about to go the same way as the dinosaurs. And this is not an exaggeration, the writing is all over the walls. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll understand the seriousness of what's about to unfold. A most spectacular downfall of the 100-year-old biggest car players of the world. This is going to make the collapse of Kodak and Blockbuster look like a mere dress rehearsal for an Oscar-worthy disaster movie. Do I want them to collapse? No, not at all. Having followed Tesla's growth closely for years now, I know they cannot do this alone. They need other EV manufacturers to carry some burden, some load, make some batteries and give half-decent healthy competition to customers. 66 million cars are sold globally each year. By 2030, Tesla is rather ambitiously aiming to provide 20 million vehicles per year. Toyota holds the current record number of 10 million cars, so the very idea of Tesla doubling Toyota's peak output does sound a little cocky, even to me. No doubt the big EV Chinese players BYD, XPeng and NIO amongst others are ramping up as quickly as possible too, as they know full well that the ice age will soon be over. But there may still be a shortfall of electric vehicle production by many millions of vehicles by the end of the decade. I'm more cross at traditional car companies for throwing away their only hope, their sluggish response to the disruption that is electric vehicles. This shows their stagnant incompetency and failure to adapt to a changing landscape at a time where it really matters to move away from fossil fuels and towards a clean, sustainable future. So what's going on then? Ford CEO Jim Farley has at least made some tough but good decisions. Splitting Ford into separate electric and internal combustion engine divisions might just allow Ford to survive into an electric future, albeit at a fraction of their former glory. Here's where things are going downhill though. Ford are slowing the ramp up of their money-losing EVs. Ford lost more than $32,000 on average per EV sold in the second quarter of this year. Ford are slowing down, not accelerating their plans towards electrification. In the long run, this will be disastrous. It just widens the gap of being able to compete with Tesla. Jim Farley's recent announcement to shift investment to Ford's more profitable commercial vehicle unit and citing plans to quadruple sales of gas/petrol electric hybrids over the next 5 years will do nothing but accelerate Ford's collapse. This is Ford's admission. They cannot continue with their EV production plans due to mounting losses and pricing pressures. Rivian, who are an electric pickup truck startup company, is outselling Ford's F-150 Lightning electric truck. This is rather embarrassing for Ford, as the Rivian R1T also costs $23,000 more than the Lightning. To make matters worse for Ford, Tesla's Cybertruck is about to be unleashed into the world. I think most people still think that this is a joke truck. It won't be until this beast is put through its paces and proved to be an actual tough truck that people start to realise the radical leap of change from boring old typical truck to futuristic, uncompromised genius. With 1.9 million pre-orders, it's very clear that there is a massive market for this thing. It will have the performance, technology and superiority over every other truck. And just like bums in seats works for selling other Teslas, once Cybertrucks hit work sites and people start to understand its capabilities, and the fact it will be near indestructible, it really will make every other truck look like a toy, and that includes Ford's F-150 Lightning. GM, the company that could have led and it would have mattered, but instead CEO Mary Barra has made cataclysmic mistakes. From partnering with no less than 2 fraudulent companies, having done zero homework about Lordstown and Nikola Motors, it was clear at the time that despite GM claiming to have cutting-edge technology in batteries, drivetrain and electrification, that they did in fact have nothing of the sort, but did sort to hopefully take that cutting-edge tech from Lordstown and Nikola Motors, who did claim to have it. They did not. Then there's the unfortunate problem of GM's electric car fires, which really was handled disgracefully. The Chevy Bolt, the company's flagship mainstream EV, led the automaker to recall every one of the 141,000 electric cars produced since 2016 and either supposedly fix or replace the entire battery pack. This only cost something like $2 billion, the same price it cost Tesla to build an entire EV factory in Shanghai. Okay, so mistakes happen, but GM offered $6,000 to customers if they promised not to sue over battery fires. GM told its Bolt customers to just park their EVs on the street and not in a garage at home, after some vehicles burst into flames after their recall repairs. It's rather obvious that GM are far from the leaders in the EV industry, despite what people might have heard elsewhere. Still, it's worth remembering that statistically, EVs are far less likely to spontaneously combust compared to that of an ICE variety. This is not opinion but backed up by data and facts. Frankly, I'm gobsmacked that anyone trusts or buys anything from GM, the very company that did produce compelling, affordable electric vehicles back in 1996, but quickly realised these would spell disaster for their engine sales, so recalled them all and had them crushed. If people are having a candlelight vigil at scrapyards, doesn't that tell you were onto something, GM? The opportunity squandered here is tragic. Then there's sales figures of GM's spectacular, much needed in the world electric Hummer, which I still think is a rather pathetic joke. A gigantic waste of batteries. This thing has a 246 kilowatt-hour battery pack. My Model 3 has a 50 kilowatt pack for comparison. The electric Hummer is the most inefficient, ludicrously heavy, unstreamlined block of look at me I've ever seen. What an utter waste of time for engineers to have been developing this. Would their time not have been better spent concentrating on a truly excellent, affordable, comparable to a Tesla vehicle instead? So far this year, just 49 electric Hummers have been sold. What a shocker. And if you happen to be one of the people that bought one, why? And in this week's news, GM are upset about potential emissions fines that they might incur by 2031. It's more than alarming to consider that GM thinks it will be selling internal combustion engines by then, let alone still be in business. Either I can see the future or I'm going insane. Time will tell, I guess. Back in April, GM said it would end production of their flagship $26,500 Chevy Bolt, but have since changed their mind and are updating it and bringing it back to life after all. And that's just it, innit? Tesla has a clear mission. They know exactly what they are doing and where they are going. All these other car companies were ticking along nicely for decade after decade with no plans whatsoever to make change. They didn't want to change. Change is hard. It takes a lot of effort, carries risks that might upset profitability and shareholders. It's no wonder we've seen this response, I guess. GM has said time and time again that it will launch a whole host of EVs by 2025, and it aims to surpass Tesla as the EV leader by around that time. But the reality is, their products are at best mediocre. They cannot make enough of them, and they are so far behind Tesla in terms of technology and manufacturing, and like all traditional car companies, GM rely heavily on the profits from their ICE side of the business. These profits will collapse over the coming years as consumers understand the benefits of an electric car, the total cost of ownership being far lower, the features and functionality being far superior, the safety being greater thanks to a floor of batteries which lowers the rollover risk, provides better handling, has huge crumple zones where the engine used to live, and the environmental benefits. At this point, EVs are an inevitability, whether people like it or not. And whilst the ICE market collapses and these companies try to produce compelling EVs, Tesla are not standing still, but continually working on ways to lower its prices, improving its manufacturing techniques, and even turn their entire profitability structure on its head, with software as a service revenue from full self-driving monthly subscriptions and streaming services. The future implications of this alone in terms of profitability is extraordinary. Not only have Ford, General Motors and other car companies failed to understand just how quickly Tesla is accelerating away from them, they failed to take up opportunities when they did present themselves. From dismissing the multi-award-winning 2012 Tesla Model S, to not taking advantage of Tesla's openness of sharing its patents. Although it's been rumoured, no company has yet licensed Tesla's full self-driving technology, despite it being the only scalable way of solving autonomy, and Elon Musk making it known on many occasions that they would be open to doing that. You'd assume any thinking car company CEO might want a share of autonomously driving cars in the future, and save themselves the practically impossible task of solving it themselves by just licensing it from Tesla. future-proof. Have Ford, GM, Volkswagen, Toyota or anyone else copied Tesla's Gigapress, the single-piece rear casting that is responsible for removing a third of the factory robots? Nope. Has any other company vertically integrated all of its manufacturing in-house and are working towards scaling their battery production from lithium refinery to cell production on a mass scale? No, they have not. Here's another example of don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Nax or not, Tesla has offered every other car company free use of their worldwide supercharger network. All they need do is adopt Tesla's North American Charging Standard Port, or NACS, on their future vehicles, and ta-da! Instant access to 45,000 Tesla superchargers that always work, are very competitively priced, and is a rapidly growing network. But why would car companies want to offer its own customers use of Tesla's excellent, abundant charging network when you can start from scratch and build your own? Which should be up and running in a few years' time, no doubt plagued with problems, reliability issues and bureaucracy getting in the way of progress. Much like the results of Volkswagen's Dieselgate settlement, the Electrify America network, which has taken them years to become vaguely stable, reliable and offer more than a couple of working stalls in each location. So who are these muppets that have decided that the Tesla supercharger network is not going to be beneficial and offer tremendous value for their customers? BMW, Honda, Hyundai, Kia, Mercedes-Benz and Chrysler Stellantis, which owns all of these brands if you didn't know. What a stupidly stubborn, missed opportunity these car companies are making that will no doubt impact people's decisions when choosing which electric car to buy. One that you can charge anywhere on Tesla's supercharger network, or one that has to rely on today's somewhat sparse charging infrastructure and the promise of a better one to come in a few years' time. Madness! Blaming customers for not buying their EVs. The incredibly dishonest tactic that Volkswagen, Ford, Toyota, GM and others keep trying to pull is blaming consumers for not wanting to buy their expensive electric cars, and are trying hard to persuade people that hybrids might, after all, suit their needs. Nothing to do with them being incapable of producing price-competitive, similar spec to Tesla cars at scale then. No, don't be silly. However, consumers want EVs. It is now undeniably obvious that savvy consumers want EVs. They are computers on wheels that make traditional cars look like horse and carts. Not only is the Tesla Model Y the world's best-selling car, but it can be purchased for less than the average vehicle price in the US. Electric cars will continue to get far cheaper as production scales up and battery costs get lower. No congestion charges, cleaner for the environment and for the air that we all breathe, way lower running costs. You can power it from your home's solar. The list of benefits goes on and on. By 2025, Tesla will have ramped up production of its next generation vehicle, the Model 2/compact car, whatever it's going to be called. Like all Teslas, this will embarrass the competition with its capabilities, performance, range and features, yet cost Tesla half the price to build it when compared to a Model 3. This mass market car really will be the final nail in the coffin for legacy auto companies, as no one will be able to compete on its price of $25,000, which will still maintain healthy profit margins for Tesla. I'd also hazard a guess that by 2025, the soon-to-be refreshed Model 3 and Model Y will have dropped considerably in price too, giving the already crumbling traditional car companies even more to worry about, or how else to put it, even lesser time towards bankruptcy. Tesla have accelerated their lead so far ahead of any so-called competition that it really is embarrassing at this point. I'm quite sure that a good proportion of my audience are already fully aware of this. If you are new here, this really is extraordinary to realise. Legacy automotive companies and most EV startup companies will not survive the decade. Perhaps they know it, perhaps they don't. But either way, it's coming. They cannot compete with Tesla and the handful of Chinese electric car companies that are offering compelling, affordable electric cars. The risk of failure exists for those who fail to adapt swiftly and comprehensively to the evolving automotive landscape, which appears to be almost every car manufacturer. Ooh. As always, thanks so much for your support. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. Please do like and subscribe and check out my other videos like this one here and here. I'm Will, this is the Tesla Jigsaw. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.